We are up to Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, and we're discussing the different sizes of that woolen strip, around the neck of the potter, around the neck of around the head of the Siddur Shtaleach, the potter, and they also by the potter wasn't around the neck. Potter they threw it in together with the Ace Azav, and now also the Mishra. So I think over here we're up to Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, 7 lines on top of the page. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Shtei Shchita Shamaiti. I heard 2 laws regarding Shchita, Acha Shel Parah, one regarding Parah Aduma, the Acha Shel Parah, one regarding the power of Aron HaKohen that he brings for his family. Achas, and one of them I heard is Pshei Bazar, a Yisrael is able to shecht it, but Achas Psula Bazar, and one of them is that a Yisrael cannot shecht it. And I don't know which one is what. I mean, you think straight away, all the activities of Yom Kippur have to be done by the Kohen Gadol. So the Parah would be shchita. What's going on here? So in fact, we learned there's a machlekes, and we'll soon see why there's a machlekes. Itma, we learned shchitas Parah, the shchita Parah Duma, uparoi, and the shchita of the part of Aron HaKohen is a machlekes of Rabbi Shmuel. Chadama, one of them says Parah Psula, Parah Duma is possible with Yisrael. Parah Duma only a Kohen could check. But Paroi, when it comes to the part of Aron HaKohen, is kosher. It's kosher. It's kosher to have a Yisrael shech. The Chadama, the other opinion, and based around the middle of the page, the other opinion says, he heard that one Parah Duma and part of Aron HaKohen, one of them you can shech with a Yisrael, one of them you can't. He didn't know which is what. So he said, the Chadama, the other one, Paroi, the part of Aron HaKohen is psul, has to be done by Aron HaKohen, not by Yisrael. A Paroi, when it comes to Parah Duma, Ksheida is kosher. This time, so who said what? Let's conclude. The Rav, who the Amar Parah Psula. Rav is the one who says that the Parah Duma is possible with a Yisrael. Parah Duma needs a Kohen. Why? Because Rav Zayda said, Shchitas Parah Bezor Psula. Rav Zayda said that Shchitas Parah is possible if a Yisrael does it. Rav said, when it comes to Parah Aduma, it says you should place it before Elazar HaKohen, and Elazar was the Sgan Kohen Gadol then, and it says you should give it to Elazar HaKohen, so it says Elazar, and it says there's Zois, starts off the whole parsha, Zois Chukas HaTorah, and it says in the passage when it's Elazar HaKohen and so on. So we know you need a Kohen, and it says Zois. So therefore, when it comes to Parah Aduma, everything has to be done by a Kohen. So what is the question if that's the whole word, because it says Kohen and it says Zois, but the same thing might Yom Kippur. But Rav Ma'ishna Parah, why is Parah different? Also by the part of Aron HaKohen. It says in the pasuk that Aaron should be makriv the Parah Chatas Shaloi. It says Aaron, and it says also Chukah. And it says also Chukah. It says Zois Chukah L'Chukah. So what's the difference between Parah Duma, the whole word because it says Kohen, and it says Zois Chukah Satayda, and over here also says Aron HaKohen should be makriv, and it says Chukah. Says Gemara, Aron HaKohen has to be makriv, but Shchita lav avoid. Shchita is not avoid. Here we have an interesting machlekes. We have this all over Shas. Shchita is not an avoid. We had a main time before. Why isn't Shchita avoid? So Rashi says Shchita is not avoid because a Zor can do it. Rashi here doesn't say, but Rashi other places. Because a Yisrael is allowed to shchita because it says Mekakrova the Eilef. Right? When is stuff about a Kohen? From the Kabbalah Saddam and further. So the Kabbalah Saddam and further, that's a Kohen. In other words, the very fact that a Yisrael can shech the Raya, it's not avoid. Faces brings another Gemara, has a whole discussion why Yisrael could shech. So you can't tell me that, and mostly because it's not avoid. That's circular reasoning. Yisrael is not avoided because Yisrael can shech. Yisrael can shech because not different Tases learns a whole different word. And I saw that Nazi goes to town on this, but the Tesa says the reason why it's not avoided is because this particular activity is applicable to all behemoths, even chulin. If you want to eat a behemoth stam, you have to shech. So it can't be intrinsic to an avoider, to have a kohenim, because it's of everyone. All the other activities, the Kabbalah Saddam, the Lachas Saddam, the Zikr Saddam, these are unique to a carbon. So that makes sense. That's an avoider. Anything which is common for everything is not an avoider. That's why she's not avoider.
With the carbon, because that's needs to be done by kohen.
Yeah. Who said it has to be done by kohen? You know, by an expert. Shchita is the most important, but it's not because of avoid it, because shchita is the beginning of the carbon. We have it all the time. Shchita is chilas carbon. It's not avoid the koyin. Of course it is. That's because shechita is the beginning of the carbon, and that's the main part. Now the koyin, avoid the koyin. We're saying that it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. So it doesn't make it an avoid of a koyin. Come on, koyin. It's koyin. Anyway, so you say the machlek is Rashi and Tesis. What it's all about. And they want to use it to explain the midbar. They did the shechita. They do the shechita. Anyway. Oh yeah, machlek will have a chul. I'm sure all about there. If they did shechita in the midbar, they had chul in bechal.
I know there was a whole shadow with everything that's supposed to be.
Try beam you. Well, yeah.
What happens to that muscle?
Yeah, well, that's the gay soon the 9 days. That's Shiloh, the gay to 9 days. Remind me the 9 days.
You know, if you had meat left over from some, yeah, but
no. If you meet up in the chira, if you did not do the shechita. That's right. Exactly. The Gemara expression of Yuzayin there. A vorei bas in the chira. The limbs of the chira, you brought it so. Yeah. Let's continue. Talking about Yachiv, so para nami. Gemara says if so, para also. So we say so. Chayda para. Ebazei para is also what are you doing? Too much chita. Shchita is not avodah. So what you're telling me about Allah's chukah does not have no bearing on Yom Kippur because chita is not avodah. So by para duma, why do you tell me it has to be a kohen? Because it says para and Allah's a para kohen. No, it's not avodah. As shiny para the kacha bedek about. Para is different because it's kacha bedek about. The way Rashi explains this has a different explanation. But Rashi explains it very simple. There's no particular since it's kacha bedek abayis. It's not. There's no avodah. It's not a carbon. So there's no avodah. There was a chil b'shchita and everything else. When it's a carbon, so then from Kabbalah Zadam and onwards, something special. And shchita is not an avodah because the Zohar can do it. But when it comes to Pora Aduma, there is no avodah. So everything is the same. There's no mile of one activity over another activity. So if we need a coin, a lazar and coin for those activities, why should shchita be? Okay. It's better kabayim. It's kacha better. It's not a carbon because we're doing it's a carbon. You wouldn't be able to shech it outside the base of me. We'd have to go to Harazaisim.
What you're saying is when things associated with better kabayim.
It's to maintain the. No, what do you mean?
So therefore anybody can do it.
It's different. No, not even do it. Therefore, it's not a carbon. There's no specific special activity to do with the carbon, and yet the Torah demands a kohen should do every activity. We'll soon see the certain activities the kohen doesn't have to do. But all the allgemein, the general activities that pertain directly to the product only a kohen. Yeah. We'll soon see there are certain activities of which are explaining as a product that you saw. Says shouldn't be a kol dechenu. So the carbon which is kedusha laguf, and yet you tell me Israel can do it. When it comes to part aduma, which is not even a carbon, you tell me Israel can't do it. But the Moshe said, yeah, we find another piece in it for it. What about manas negoim? The lava everyone would know the manas negoim. The chacham Israel can see it, but he cannot pronounce that as tummy. Only a kohen has a capacity to say that you need kuna. So the Ashton and Yonim need kuna, not because it's a carbon, and paradum is one of those. Says Shmuel, let's understand how Shmuel. So that's Rab. Rab holds that paradum requires a kohen and not Yom Kippur. Shmuel dama paray psula. Shmuel, let's see what Shmuel says about that. By Yom Kippur, you need a kohen. Ma'ishna paray because it's out of the chukah. No paranamics even laws of a chukah was a chiluk. Why paradum ignores? She has a shiny hossam. The chesiv it says if you closely, it says over there, you give it to Lazar kohen, and the pasuk ends v'shachat oisa lifanav. Not that a Lazar does the shchita, you shecht it in front of a Lazar, which means who does the shchita? Anybody. And a Yisrael can do it. She hazar sheichet. Even a Zar can shecht. No, and what's a Lazar's job? Right, he has to stand there and monitor and supervise. Ready to get that it's lefanav. It says in the Pasuk Shochat Oisel Lefanav. What's Rav going to say? Rav Shelo Yasir Daitim, and it means no, it wasn't a shech. But Lefanav means that he should always think about it in his head. He should make sure that he's not Masir Das for an instant. No, Shmuel Shelo Yasir Daitim, and all. How does Shmuel know this particular din of Lo Yasir Das? If he says that it comes to tell you that a Zor can shech, what's it coming to teach you? Nafkala he learns Rav the sort of as a potter leiner. Another part of it says, and you should also burn the potter in front of him. And again, when you mean the fun in front of him, he has to be there all the time and be cognizant and mindful of what's going on. Rav Tak has two psukim now to teach you about Hesach Hadas. Rav Chad b'Shchita, v'Chad b'Sreifa. You need one pasuk that during Shchita Even though a kohen is shechting it, he has to constantly not be masir das. I won't pass it by saying that. Why do you need both? He calls it Ashman. Look, it says right here. The beginning of the carbon, beginning of paraduma. I think that's the most important part. But when it comes to burning, it's not important that you should not be masir das. Because I'm going to say, I'm sure the hash to the miskasha potted. When you burn it, that's when you turn into ashes, and therefore that's going to be what's going to use it for azah. But shchita, aim is only a preparation. Aim aloy tzicha. Therefore, you need both. So the model mutamai. And when don't you need a coin? According to Rav, you need a coin for activities. So when don't you need a kohen, or when do you say that heschadas doesn't matter? You tell me heschadas is important by shchita, and heschadas. I don't mean heschadas. Heschadas by shchita, and heschadas is important by safe. And when not? Ilay milamut is it coming to exclude asifas apora when you collect the ashes, or mili mayin when you fill it, you put the water inside the ashes, likidu or vikidu to the gazais. When you mix them together, it says pleasure passing. It says when you do that activity, you also have to be mishmeres. You have to be mindful and need shimmer. So when don't you need when don't we require heschadas? Elamute, I'll tell you when you don't. We don't really care so much. Is hashlochas 8 edes when you toss in that piece of cedar wood, the ezay, the hyssop, the shnishalas, and that red that wool, the lab goof of the potter. That's not the goof of the potter. When you throw them in, it doesn't matter if you have a seer das. Okay, so Gemara Itma, we learn shchitas potter. In fact, machlekes of Adam Roim as well. This is what Rabbi Shmuel arguing about a potter, whether that's be a kohen Yisrael. We learn shchitas potter. The shchita of a potter is bizarre. The shchita of a potter can be done by Yisrael. Sorry, if it's done by Yisrael, Rav says ksheida is kosher. The Ami says ksheida. The Ami says it's kosher like Shmuel. And Rabbi Chanaf come up so and I hold like Rav that it's possible. Ula Amaksheida, Ul himself said also that it's kosher, which move. And the other saying his name, so that he said it's possible. How much of a help? Mostly Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Yeshua asked a question which supports it out. That Paraduma requires a koyin. It says, Ainli Ela Hazor. So all I know is when you sprinkle the water, ain't shading be isha big ish. It's not kosher if it's done by a woman. Well, explain how we know. And the ain't shading elabiyah can only be done by day. And we sort of think we linked all this together. Only a man can do it. It can only be done by day. Because it's by yom mashlish. So you cannot sprinkle somebody at night. How do you know the other activities of shechting, the kabbalah's dama, and hazor's dama, sprinkling the blood, usreifasa, and burning it, how do you know all of those activities also can only be done by day? When it comes to a woman, we know none of them are shaykh to women because it says a loza. So it has to be a man, like a loza. So and it has to be a kohen as well. But how do you know it has to be by day? Maybe only the hazor has to be done by day. It says by yom hashlishi. How do you know? Talmud Leimer, it says the pasuk, Toida says Zois chukas haToida, and then it says there because it says Toida. Toida means in all the laws, general. So therefore it's included. So there's one Toida, one law for all the avodas that incorporated in the paradum. Yochos, I would have thought Ebazei Shani Marba can include also Asifas the potter, also collecting the afara, the ashes, Umili Mayim, and filling it with water, the kiddush, and then mixing it as well. I would think that what it only must be done by day. Talmud Leimer Zeis. That only what I told you over here in this part of the portion is what I say has to be done by day. Not that. So Mara Isla Rabbah says, why did you decide that they include all those activities and includes these and excludes these? We have a riba in the pasuk because it says Toida. We have a midah that says Zoy, but we don't know what to be marbe and what to be mayit. So it's up to us to decide what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. So therefore, we equate everything to the sprinkling of its water. Just like the April the sprinkling is not kosher by women, only by man, because it says Allah. The ain't shade in it can only be done by yom by day. So I will include. I'll also bring. And how do you know Taka that it's not kosher by Ish and some of these other things? We see later in the pasuk. Ish Torah. We'll see. I'll also bring shchitas. I'm going to include shchita, the kabbalah's dama, All of these. Anything where a woman is puzzle, so then we know also that other psul is linked to it, which is a psul of night and only by day. What do I exclude? Asifus apar. When it comes to collecting the ashes, umilu mayim, and filling the water, the kiddush, and mixing it, hoyel of shade and beisha be. We have no meat there to exclude a woman, so it's kosher by anybody. Sheinami by yom uvalai, kosher by them. So now, what's the question? How does it support it up? What do we see from here that supports it up that he sold to Shech? Behind my tiyufta. So exactly, what is the question here? How is it the kasha Shmuel? Shmuel says that when it comes to a para aduma, it can be done by Yisrael. How exactly is this a question? Behind my tiyufta, because it says psulim beisha, is it because we said all of these activities are possible by a woman? So you surmise if it's possible by a woman, it's also possible by Yisrael. Psulim You made that assumption. Who said? Hazor, one of the things that we include over here was sprinkling the water. The chiach will prove. Shepsulim beisha, an isha cannot sprinkle, but shedim bezar. A Yisrael is allowed to do hazor because it says in the pasuk ish tired. So it means not only a kohen but even a Yisrael. It's interesting that Yisrael can do the actual hazor of the. They didn't do the hazor was not done in the bath on people, on kalim, whatever. Shade and bizarre, and it's kosher, but by Yisrael. So we see just because it's possible by a woman doesn't automatically mean it's possible by Yisrael. So therefore, when it comes to shchita by a potter, it's possible for a woman, but who says it's possible by Yisrael? So what's the kasha here on Shmuel and what's your ayat to that? Omar Bayabai says, this is what's bothering them. Isha my timer. What's the reason why a woman is disqualified from shechting by a woman? Because we know Stam Chulin, we learned the first mission of Chulin, Hakok Shayin, including women. So why, when it comes to carbon, a woman cannot shecht? So we say the reason is, everywhere else is a law crime, we understand, but Shechita doesn't. So we say like this, is because my time, Ella Ozer, so we dash. When it says Rishachet Lefanav, right? Rishachet Lefanav, front of Ella Ozer, is so in other words, must be that we're teaching when it says Rishachet Lefanav doesn't mean like Shmuel learned a Yisrael shechting in front of the Lozer, because that can be a woman also. Must be we touch him like Rabbi Shachar Lefanav means that it's a lozer himself, and Lefanav means that it has to be not be Masir Das at all. So if it's a lozer that excludes a woman, the same lozer excludes a Yisrael. My time a lozer Lisha Hadi, a woman not disqualified. It says a lozer, we touch not a woman. Lozer not be a lozer. Lozer also it's a lozer, not a Yisrael. That's the question. Omar Ula says Ula. Call Pasha Kula, the entire Pasha, and the next Gemara today and tomorrow we'll go through piece by piece. But the entire Pasha of Paraduma is written in a certain sequence. Mashma Moitzi Miyad Mashma or Mashma Mele. Some things the Pasha is coming to say that even though I told you this has to be done for this particular activity, but for the next activity, you don't have to follow what I told you or prescribed for the previous activity. And some of the things will be a follow on whatever the previous activity is, you should continue with. And then we'll go through the whole thing. Like for example, it says when a satem oisa el azar koyin, you should give it to azar koyin, you should give it to Elazar koyin. Elazar HaKoyin was not the koyin gadol; he was a deputy. Aaron was a koyin gadol, so you should give it to Elazar koyin. So we say oisa Elazar. This you give to Elazar, but v'loy ledoros, not in the future. So who do you give it in the future? Machlekes. Ikadamri ledoros b'koyin gadol. He was a sgan, but in the future give it to a koyin gadol. The Ikadamri Ladoidus b'koyin hadid. Others say Ladoidus, now you give it to the sgan. In the future, any kohen can do this activity. Says the Gemara. So again, here we see clearly that we're dashing this particular requirement is only for this activity, but not for future. So Bishlam on the day you can head your shop. The one who says that generally for kohen, if it's tam kohanim, because it doesn't say anywhere else what kind of kohen you need. So any kohen is wearing it out of God, it's good enough. The one who insists that this is the only time we have a special dispensation we allow us gan kohen gadol. For the future, we want mamish the kohen gadol. How do you know that? The Gemara says, "Gomar chuka chuka miyan kippurim." Here it says chukas atayla, and by Yom Kippur it says, "V'hoyel lachem chukas olam." And over there was Aaron kohen gadol. Over here also it has to be the kohen gadol. Says okay. Next pasuk, it says a pasuk. In that same pasuk, it says, "Give it to Elazar Kohen, and he will take the paraduma el mechutz al machal." He'll take it.
Sorry, it's not in other cases to be able to lose it.
Yeah, we learn other things from it, but yeah, for this thing as well. The other one doesn't believe that Gzeir Shabbos for that, or doesn't believe in Gzeir Shabbos at all. Says the Gemara. It says, you should take outside the paraduma. Now, the problem is you cannot take the paraduma refuses, it's opposite, doesn't want to go inside. You can't take a rope and schlep it, you don't put anything top of a parah. Not any malacha with it or anything which is not negated the parah itself. So you're not allowed to. So what do? You have to coax it out. One of the things you learn out you should not take out another animal with it. Maybe the other animal will entice it to go out. You cannot use another animal to take out with it. What happens? Because now we learn your parah refused to go outside. Don't take a black animal, put it next to it so that maybe they go out together. Why? We don't want people to go around because people don't know. You're taking the animals out of the base and make sure nobody follows. You take it to Hadazation far away. People think, oh, they didn't shech a red heifer, they shechted this black cow over there. What are people going to think? Yisim Nikim Hashem Yisrael is so paramount. Now, according to this, it's only a gzeira. No, according to this, technically, you could have another animal. Even though the pasuk says oisa loshin yachid, hoitzi oisa on its own. This opinion holds you could take another animal, but it's not a gzeira. How people are going to perceive it, don't. The ain might see an ima aduma, and definitely don't take out another red animal with it. So what's wrong with that? Now people will say either way you shechted a correct animal. Obviously, they had more than the paradumas in those days were quite available. You're taking two animals. Actually, yeah. No hair, black, anything.
With anybody looking,
yeah, but they expected before they took it out.
But the other one you just want to follow. Exactly.
But you don't want to make. You want to make sure you don't get the mix them up. The only way not going to make them up is by putting a string around it. Then everyone will notice, hey, this can't be a paraduma. That's both the shaykh. So, and the problem is, people will say they shechted two animals. And what's wrong with that? And what if you don't believe in the taich of oisa one at a time? What is wrong if people think shechet two paradum? I don't know. What's wrong? Who's they? The only ones that are doing it are the Kohen and Gailim. So what are they going to think? Why would they think that because you took two, therefore maybe you were lucky you got two? Why would they think that every time you paradum you took two? Nobody would say you two. Says Lashon Yachid. What's the chash here?
Each one of these things, each one of the things what is really chash?
No, the first chash is I don't want to get a vaccine. I don't think it's worth it. It's got black behemoth.
How many kohanim are such amalats that would think of black?
It's not the kohanim. It's the tzibur. They'll say, why would I become tahor? I don't think it's going to work. It's a black animal they use. And what's the chash? They'll think they did two instead of one. So
maybe somebody might say, listen, you haven't got a second one. We can't shech. Therefore we might run out of.
But why would you think that when the Torah says one is enough?
But he said, but I saw them taking two.
They happen to have two. I mean, maybe. I guess you're right. I don't understand exactly what the chash is. But anyway, but the idea is it's only exera. It's not no Easter involved. However, Rebbe comes along and says, Rebbe says that is not the reason why. It's Mahatayra. Oisa. It's in the pasuk. Oisa. You should take this out. Lashon Yachid. Levada. Oisa levada. It says also Oisa. Why doesn't he dash on it? Man Tanakama. Who's the Tanakama? Rab Shimon. And Rab Shimon, we read little about Metzia. Darish time of the kra. He dashes time of the kra, which means he tries to give a reason to the pasuk, and he's saying, of course, it's Oisa. But why does the Torah say Oisa? What people
sort of a second kavan together with the first one constitute accompanying different activity which will develop that corresponding. The mission states anyone who participates in the
that is not that's not a gzeira. That's not a chashan. That's probably it's an isser. One animal is redundant, and therefore you're doing an avoid or something else. Here we're saying that they shouldn't So they're going to say that that it's possible because you have another animal with it. Is that what it's saying here? That people are going to say we can't use it because it's possible. Maybe that's what it is. People say that the first animal is also no good because You shechted both. I understand. I know, but the problem is, if they think you did shech both, then it's not you're doing a malach with another animal. You're doing two animals are both going to be part of the. There's no one animal part of the other animal on hanger. The chash of people. We're not talking about the chash of people. We're talking about the people of chayshish. Yeah. Yeah, so you don't talk about the Heschadas or that. I still understand what the chash is. Not why you shouldn't do it, but what anyway, it doesn't matter. Rav Shimon is the one who says that the Torah says you shouldn't give you shouldn't give a mashkin to to an almana, because then you might have an aniyah, because it's almana, because you might have to go to her house every night and the people start talking and you're going to hurt her. So Rav Shimon says, but if she's a rich person, it doesn't really matter, because you're not going to be going back and forth all the time. Because he dashes the time to crow, he actually also uses it l'kula, not just l'chumra. Right? Because if she's an almana, rich person, she's not going to come to your house to take back, her linen and so on. Doesn't need it. So so we see he dashes time to crow. Think about it, at the end of the day, so what's the machlekes? They're both saying the same thing, and Rav Shimon is giving them time. It must be enough minute dinner. Ready Gemara, my benai. So what's enough minute dinner? Whether you give a time to the pasuk, whether because like Yemru, or because the stam says there's a cost of Isa. He give benai. The chilik is in a case where there's no chash at all. The apik chamoy bahada. You took the paraduma with a donkey alongside. In this case, what's the chash? What people say? Nobody's going to think that the donkey is part of the paraduma. So according to the Shimon, the Tanakhama, there's no like Yemru here. You can do that. According to the other one, it's like there's a custom, and then according to the it says there's a custom. It says Isa, doesn't matter why, what, when. You're not allowed to have another animal alongside. And the Gemara continues. It says in the pasuk, the next pasuk says, in the same pasuk says, give the elder coin, take it out on the shachat Isa lefanav. You shecht it in front of him. What do we shachat Isa? When Isa again, we're talking about that. We brought it this. Obviously, we should say v'shachta. So shalayishchait acheres ima. You shouldn't shecht another animal with it at the same time. Lefanav. What do you mean in front of him? So we had a machlekes Rav Shmuel. The Rav, according to Rav, lefanav means it has to be a kohen shechting it. So why is he in front of him? He's the one shechting it. So they say died to him, and maybe you shouldn't remove his mind for 1 second from it. And according to Shmuel, why is it lefanav? To tell you that he just stands and observes. We want a Yisro to a Yisro is allowed to shecht. Elazar just sees it. And then the pasuk says, it says that Elazar HaKohen then after shechita takes from the blood with his finger. That's boy with his finger. Now it says again, Elazar HaKohen. Why does it say Elazar HaKohen? So Lishmuel, who said that he wasn't the one who shechted it, it was Yisro who shechted it. So it has to say now Elazar HaKohen takes the dam, because it changes the people. The person who shechted can no longer do the next activity. He's lahaduri le'elazar, to return the activity now back to Elazar. Because if it said stop, the lokach medama, you would have thought the person who shechted, can go right it. And especially, we said before, it's only better kabai, it's not even a carbon. You would think maybe it's a possibility. A carbon, we know a kohen has to do the kabbalah sadam, but maybe by paraduma, it could be a Yisrael. Now, according to Rab, Elazar who shechted in the first place, and lefanav means only it shouldn't be Masir Das. Why didn't it just say the lokach medama? That's boy. Why does it say his name again? So why say Elazar? So to let Rab have miyat achamiyat. He told us right before lefanav Elazar means Elazar has to shecht. Now he tells me again Elazar is the one who takes the blood. So miyat achamiyat. We know everything has to be Elazar. Why is that? Come to conclude that filu kohen hedget. Here, it's a change from before. We said before that's every step of the way is coming sometimes to change. It's changing. When it came to the shechita, it had to be done by the Zgan Kohen. And we had before only in this time the Zgan Kohen. Future generations, it can be a kohen hedget. The rabbis, I feel a kohen hedget. Even a kohen hedget can do the other activities as well. We'll stop over here and continue. Tomorrow we'll continue tomorrow all the psukim and go each one. What is coming to exclude.